Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. It's time for the Sheriff's Sit Down, presented by our great friends at Our Community Credit Union, where holiday quick bucks are back, just like pumpkin spice, eggnog, and peppermint. It's everything you love about the holidays at Our Community Credit Union. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, how you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Cold.
It's beautiful this morning.
Well, it's beautiful for sure.
Oh, I love it.
It is cold out there, and it seems to have turned pretty quick. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about winter driving conditions. I know it can be rough around some of the roads, the curves we have here in Mason County. We talk often about this about every year. So what are some of the things that folks need to think about? Because, you know, they may be waking up going, gosh, just a few days ago it wasn't like this.
Well, like this morning, and I'm not sure about all the outer lying roads. We haven't been super cold for too many days in a row, but you have shadowed areas too. It looks good leaving home because the road's, pretty much bare, and you come into some of our areas that have trees and shadows over them, and you come into that area, and then you've got a road that way that's been frozen because it still had moisture on it, and it's still frozen. And the shadows are another thing, where the sun's going down in the evenings and late afternoon now, driving into that. And the weather conditions are changing. You know, Chief Sperling was talking, we just talked a couple weeks ago about this. You know, it's slowing down. All over the state, we've seen a lot of traffic collisions and things, and in Mason County as well. It's just driving too fast. And as you get down to these, the hours of light have changed.
Yeah.
So you're coming home and it's darker. You know, being aware of that. And now we'll switch probably till tomorrow this afternoon back to rain. And then your visibility goes away in the rainy conditions. And it's all those things that are really important. The other one that I've seen advertised a lot this year by, of course, it helps them out, the tire companies, but checking the pressure on your tires. They do drop significantly in the cold weather. And some people, the modern cars, sometimes will light up and it will tell you there's something, your car tires, they've probably all gone down about the same usually, but they drop below what the manufacturer said. So having your tires checked for pressure at these cold temperatures, it throws your handling and braking is much, much different on your car with tire pressure. Changes everything.
How much drive training do you guys in the Sheriff's Office have to do every year?
Well, we go up the drive course every year and we do state qualifications.
Yeah.
And so you're on the course up there and you have to pass the minimum qualifications. We are very fortunate in Mason County because in most instances we're able to use the Washington State Patrol drive course that certifies people on that. A lot of agencies don't have that.
I mean, you guys, you have to do this every year, whereas I'm just thinking about the general citizen. No. You don't ever have to really
we do night driving.
Your skills.
We do night driving about every other year when you're on the drive course at night. And then, have you ever been on the drive course? Have you ridden through there?
I've been on it once.
Sometime you get a chance, if we're on training or if you get a chance to go up to State Patrol Academy and ride through with one of their instructors. All of our people have gone through the same training, instructor training. And then you get out there and we do the same thing that many people do. And we teach it at the Kids Academy too, and we do it in our summertime. We teach low-speed driving. And we teach parallel parking on both sides of the road. You have to be able to parallel park from your right-hand side, but you have to be able to pull up to a left-hand side and back into a parking zone too. You teach low-speed braking and cornering and backing. You've got to back through the course the same way. There's half of it you have to go in reverse through it without hitting anything, all the cones.
It'd be hard to.
And it's on a certain amount of time. And you make an error, you go again. You have to have two successful passes under time on both the high-speed and the low-speed course.
And it seems to me at some level, this type of recertification for a average driver. It seems like you should have some sort of re-up on skills, check your reaction times.
It really would be nice. It really would be nice. I know another thing that people probably don't care for as much, but you go to many of the European countries, and every year your vehicle has to be certified. They have to have first aid kits in them. They check your tires, they check your brakes. If it's not up to what it should be, they decertify, they pull a car off, and you have to have it ready to go again. I'm not talking about just emissions. I'm talking about vehicles with your tires, brakes, windshield, all those kind of things to be checked, and it makes a huge difference. I think one of the things that I think about all the time, because of racing motorcycles the same way, the tire pressure can make a huge difference on the handling of a vehicle. And you've got to watch, because some more of the modern vehicles will have different tire pressure settings for the front tires as opposed to the back tires, depending on what kind of vehicle it is. And if you stay with those, you're going to be fine. But you've really got to be mindful of that, because you're braking and handling with the anti-lock brakes. something else that over the years we switched to anti-lock brakes, and it changed a lot on the drive course, how we drive.
What are a couple places in Mason County that year after year are issues for travelers? You know, we talk about when the rain comes, heading up North 101 past the Little Creek Casino. There's some ruts in the road there. There are always going to be some water there. You know, coming out maybe by the Skoke River towards Hunters or something, that back road there.
Well, look at
could
Purdy
be,
Canyon going down the hill. How
Yeah.
you're up on the top of the hill going northbound on 101, and you drop into Purdy Canyon, and look at the temperature change and the shade in there, and how that can get slick in there in Purdy Canyon coming down through, especially if we drop way down in the cold weather.
Yeah.
Anywhere you have moisture next to the road, you know, it can either be fog. And, you know, speed on 101, that's the speeding area.
You know, one thing we don't really do as much focus as we probably should do is the folks who live up in the Cushman communities. I mean, the elevation there,
Oh,
they get
tremendous
I mean,
change.
They know when the snow's coming well before folks in downtown. And
That
stuff
was
like
one of the things we talked about years ago, many years ago when I first started here, and then when I came back, was the type of vehicles we're driving. We're one of the few places you can literally go from sea level at the canal to the Olympic Mountains right up through Cushman in a number of minutes,
Yeah.
and be into the snow down below, total rain, and just right up Cushman Road, and it changes quickly because the elevation changes. It's a really big thing. We have really varied driving conditions here, and ours changes so much.
Yeah.
Goes from the warmer, rainy weather right back down to the freezing cold overnight, or that moisture can be left on the roadway and the temperature drops. I think all those things are really important. I'm not saying we're perfect drivers, but when you do have those courses and you learn how the vehicle handles, and you learn about why a vehicle handles the way it does, and these new systems on the cars is another thing that a lot of people aren't familiar with. There are systems on some of the new cars, they're traction control systems, and there's systems, anti-roll devices on cars now, and depending on what happens to that vehicle while it's in motion, some of those sensors pick up and will help guide you on those, but can you do it without those, with those off, is really important as well.
It's amazing just to think about that too. Back to the training you guys get annually. Folks will buy these new cars and they are rated to do some pretty amazing things.
Yes.
But us as kind of general daily drivers have, one, perhaps no idea how to even do that. And then when it comes to you guys who come in and do those things, you can make those cars do some pretty impressive things.
If you do the handling dynamics and the weighting in the vehicle and the braking on the vehicle at the correct times in turns and things like that, they'll do a lot more than what you would want to do with them. I can't imagine being. I've got to ride in a NASCAR car down in years ago when I was at the FBI Academy. We went down. I got to ride on a track doing those high speeds. And the reaction time of those guys that drive those things, you're watching on TV, it doesn't look like they're going very fast. They're all going the same speed. You get in one of those cars and you're going by, and to look straight out the front window, it's really interesting. You can see everything just fine. If you turn and look out to your side directly past, it's just a blur going down a side strip. And they'll roll up against those walls. I think I was doing 180 some miles an hour at one point in one of those things. But it was amazing how careful they are when you talk about air pressure and tires and everything. You go out here to the drive course and you'll see a huge difference on a car by messing around with the tire pressures on how they handle. The braking is one of the most unique things that's changed to me. When we started, we used to call threshold braking because you didn't have the anti-lock brakes. Now you come into what we call the lane changers or into the braking box, and that car shuts down so much faster than the other ones did because the computers in it, they just do a better job than we can do. But being able to push the car to the edge and see what it's going to do sure makes a difference.
Well, it's important to be safe out there as we are moving into the late fall and early winter months here. And of course, parts of Mason County get hit with all sorts of different weather conditions. The Sheriff Sit Down this week and every week is brought to you by our Community Credit Union, where holiday quick bucks are back. So make sure you check in with them on that. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, thank you.
Have a good day.